One of the biggest issues that I've had with the iPhone is the existence of the mute switch. If you have an iPhone, you know exactly what a mute switch is. And yeah, it allows you to turn the ringer on or off. You turn it one way, it says ring. You turn it the other way, it says silent. Cool. The reason that it's problematic is because it doesn't control another aspect of notification. The vibration. Sometimes you want to be able to quickly adjust whether or not your phone does or does not vibrate. And that switch doesn't allow you to change that. The other issue is that the volume buttons don't give you full control of the buttons. You can go all the way down, keep pressing, you can press the down button as much as you can, but when you are in the settings, you can see that there is always going to be some sound. That little slider doesn't go all the way down. You can even touch the slider and drag it, and it still doesn't go all the way down. The only way to completely get rid of sound, is to put the phone in silent mode using this mute switch. Now, the other way that you can, and I've shown videos about that, is you can turn on back tap, and back tap allows you to double tap the back of the phone, and it turns the phone from mute to ring or from ring back to mute. Which, because you can do that, that further proves or further shows why the mute switch isn't required at all. I should be able to control volume completely with this side button right here. I've shown it plenty of times on Android that that's what you can do. And this isn't an Android versus iOS thing. This is just good versus bad design. Yeah, and I think that's really for me where it just stops. I mean, even if you kept the mute switch, you should still be able to turn the volume all the way down with the volume buttons. And of course, somebody would say, well, if you can turn it all the way down with the volume buttons and you turn it and, but you have it still on ring and not silent mode, then they kind of conflicting with each other. Yes, they are. Which is why, again, the mute switch just shouldn't exist. But it is what it is. It looks like it is going somewhere. With the 15 Pros, we now have the what do they call it? The action button. I spent some time in Best Buy, and maybe I'll even have some B-roll going over right now, showing that, okay, what happens now if you decide to use that mute, what happens now if you decide to use that action button for something other than muting the phone? How do you adjust that now? Do you have to go into settings? Do you have to create a Siri shortcut? Is there something that pops up in Control Center? From my, 2 minutes that I was there, what I saw was you have to go into settings now to adjust some stuff. Like, yeah, you can make it so that the volume buttons control volume and media. But if you want to put the phone in mute mode or mute it or silent mode, whatever it's called, you either have to go into settings or maybe you can turn on back tap or something. But there is no quick way to do it. So now, instead of giving you the option to fully control the volume with the volume buttons, you now have to learn something else. And it just doesn't make any sense. And it's, again, not Android versus iOS. It's just good versus bad design. I feel like, yeah, they've created another problem. And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. But the reason that I'm even more frustrated with myself, in addition to the existence of this mute switch, is because I decided to purchase a OnePlus 10 Pro. And that's what this is right here. And something in my mind was like, wait a minute. I know I don't like hardware controlled volume. Yes, aside from the buttons, which we need. I don't like mute switches. They just don't seem to make sense. But I said, well, there's a difference between the iPhone's mute switch and the OnePlus's mute switch. The OnePlus's mute switch, and again, hopefully I have some type of B-roll going right now, it's a 3-way mute switch. And in fact, actually, that's kind of pretty. I have the always on display on, and there are plenty of fingerprints on this, so let me wipe this off and hope that the camera actually zooms in on it the way that it's supposed to. But The always on display is on. Can't see anything right now. But if I switch it, boom, that now says vibrate. Do again, it now says ring. And all the way at the top, it's silent. So it's a three-way switch. So you want no sound, no vibrate. You only want vibrate. Now you want ring. And of course, if you go into settings and turn off vibration, then that ring would just be ring. I can imagine vibrate would be silent at that point, in addition to, silent being silent. But I said, hey, this is it's cool. It's better. It's a better implementation of it, but I still think it's wasted hardware. I mean, as I think, if my phone is in my pocket and I want to quickly, switch it, I can. I can easily switch from one to the next. And it's not bad, So I'm not going to say that it's completely stupid. But again, I enjoy consuming tech. I enjoy learning about it, but I don't think I'm an avid tech user. I find something that I like and, we kind of iterate with it until I find something that I think is just flat out better, perhaps. But if you were the person who was like, man, I need to be able to do everything with my phone without actually ever looking at it, then yeah, I guess it is nice to be able to reach into your pocket with either one of these devices and immediately change the phone from vibrate to silent to ring. But what's easier, in my opinion, or just as convenient, is take the second to, illuminate your phone. And you press the volume buttons and you're able to control what options you have right there. And I know it's out of focus, but once you do it, and of course it's easier to do it when you're actually looking at the screen, you have your three options right there and you tap which one you want and you're good to go. So I have not made this OnePlus 10 Pro my primary device. Main reason, as I've alluded to either at the beginning of this video or other videos, I've just been sick and haven't felt like doing stuff. It looks like a good phone. And with the OnePlus 10T, they actually got rid of the mute switch. And you are now able to control volume the same way you do with all other Android devices. And it makes sense. And I think, if you go into, man, I hope that I get some B-roll on this. But, for now, we'll just do that. And when you swipe it all the way down, it lets you know, oh, you can't turn the volume all the way off. All right, you want to mute your ringer? You have to. I got it. So that's the notification slider right there. You want to mute your ringer? You need to change it with hardware. And it's just like, okay, to mute the device, set the alert slider to vibrate or silent. Cool. So I am happy that I've given it a try. I will probably do something else with it at some point in the near future. The biggest gripe that I've had with that, as I made a whole nother video about this stuff, is the availability of SIMs. So having a physical SIM card is cool. Having an eSIM is cool. Having them both is perfect. The iPhone, and this is perfect. Even though this is the international version of the iPhone, so it doesn't technically apply. But if this were the US version of the iPhone, this would be eSIM only. I think you can have up to 8 eSIMs, but I think only 2 active at a time or something. Whatever, but still, US version of the iPhone 15, only eSIMs. This is, but at least two at a time, and that's good. Dual eSIMs. This is the US version of this OnePlus device, and most OnePlus devices that I see online say dual SIM. The eBay listing of this said dual SIM. I get the phone and it's a single SIM device. I don't like that. Right now I am using an iPhone and an Android device, and my SIM cards are in 2 different devices. I'm going to in a little bit make another video about Beeper Mini. If Beeper Mini is able to work the way that it works now, I will have 2 SIM cards in one device. I need the ability to put 2 physical SIMs in one device, or at least have the option to have 2 SIMs at all. With this OnePlus, I just can't do that. So it might have to go back to the seller. And that's, for me, it's a limiting factor. I need to be able to use 2 SIMs, or I want to be able to use 2 SIMs with one device. So in summary, with these two devices, wildly successful phone, the iPhone, my goodness, has shattered all types of records here in the United States and abroad, I'm sure. OnePlus has definitely made a name for themselves. And the big thing that they have is, pricing aside or whatever, the overlapping similarity, and let me do that. They both have alert sliders or mute switches, or they both have alert sliders or mute switches or whatever you want to call them. But this is a two-way mute slider and this is a three-way. And even though I think maybe I slightly enjoy the three-way a little bit better, I still think just doing it all with software is a better way to go. So I, again, might give another OnePlus device another try at some point in the future. But for the time being, I think, this one might have to go. And if Beeper Mini gets working, hopefully I won't have to use this iPhone at all anyway. So what are your thoughts? Do you care about the mute slider, or let's switch, whatever you want to call it? I think it's a wasted piece of hardware, and I think Apple thinks that too, which is why the action button is becoming a thing. And hopefully they fix, again, from what I saw with my 2 minutes in Best Buy, hopefully they fix it so that you can easily turn volume and vibration to whatever configurations that you want without having to either have a dedicated mute switch or have to go into the settings. It should be easy. Again, not because Android does it, but because everything you interact with that produces sound that you can adjust. When you have an up and down volume button or a knob or a slider, there's not a separate thing over here that you have to use. On your remote, yes, there is a mute button, but you have full control of volume up and down, all the way to 100%, all the way down to 0, using the knob or using the buttons. So again, that's what needs to happen for the iPhone. And OnePlus, I think, thought about doing that with the OnePlus T, and I don't think they got the response that they wanted. So they went back to putting the alert slider on the 11, the OnePlus Open, and now the OnePlus 12. So just giving my opinions on it, and that's pretty much it.